بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين
ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد
Our next speaker is Dr. Yusuf Bajis. He is the Professor of Industrial Systems Engineering at San Jose State University and also the Research Director at the Institute of Engineering in San Francisco. Dr. Bajis.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Mr. John said, I am Yusuf Bajis. First of all, I have to appreciate and thank you very much to give me the honor of being part of such a wonderful, such a brilliant cause of fighting against child marriage. I am here for two reasons. Number one reason is for my moral duty. As a moral person, I have to be here and empower this voice and stance. The second reason is I have two pretty wonderful, brilliant girls. Arshable Barges, 10 years old, Aryabel Barges, 12 years old. So for these two major reasons I am here. And I know how much courage, how much efforts have been put into this cause. And this is my duty to say thank you very much, Dr. Saib Farid Yunus, for this courage, for this fearless stance and position. But I also know that Farid Yunus is just a tip of an iceberg. I know that there are many brave women behind him. I know that there are wonderful women in this community who lined up as stars, moons, and suns in order to support him. Like we say in Persian, Abrumahu Mahumiru Khurshid do Falak dar Koran. So thank you very much for this, raising this voice. In preparation for this 5-minute speech, I was thinking if I browse the internet and brush for some information, then I thought, well, this is everybody can do. I would use my probably remaining, I don't know, Mr. John, probably 2 minutes or 1 minute to raise a moral question. This is a moral issue rather than just justice or human right. This is moral issue, and the best quote that I could bring here is, and no philosopher, no thinker, no humanist could nail it down so properly as Fyodor Dostoevsky, who in his novel Brothers of Karamazov, he basically, there's a dialogue between two characters in the novel, and one character is addressing the other one and says it. Imagine yourself Imagine yourself that you are building the edifice of humanity or destiny of humanity. And you are building a destiny where you want all people to be happy, in peace, and to have the ultimate joy and happiness. Now imagine for doing this, you are the architect, but the condition is as follows. For building such an edifice of ultimate happiness, you have to torture one tiny creature. By that one tiny creature, he means a child. So that edifice will be built on the foundation of torturing and bloodshedding of just one tiny creature. Would you accept to be an architecture of such an edifice, such a building, such a structure of happiness? Now imagine yourself, would the people for whom you are building such a destiny will accept to reside in this structure of happiness where they will have ultimate joy and peace? If they know that in the foundation of this edifice is a tortured child. So with this question, he raises a moral question, and I also pose the same question. Is it possible to build a happy and just society of humankind if we still have this shameful, most disgusting, most unjust act of child marriage? That's a moral question that we are facing. And I'm very happy to be part of this tiny voice that we are raising here. Hopefully this will become a tiny step of a successful journey. And I would like to conclude with a great saying by Buddha. He's saying that all the precious jewels of the heavenly world is nothing compared to the ones that is awakened, to the conscious that is awakened, to the wisdom, to the reason which is awakened. I hope this tiny event, this tiny gathering of wonderful people here is awakening of our conscience to let a truce and to end with this atrocity against children. Just imagine yourself how it would be possible to have a just and moral society if there are girls that will never see playing with dolls because they are given into marriage. They will never witness graduation, they will never witness college years, and they will be never able to say yes to the man of their choice, not to the man of their forced marriage. And they have to finish this life with pouring benzene on themselves, to set themselves into fire in order to laugh into the injustice that we are imposing on them. Thank you very much.
Dr. Thank you very much for that enlightening speech. It's a moral question, it's a religious question, it's a social question, it's an economic question. This is not a problem that has one facet that needs to be worked on, and we need to discuss it in multiple angles in order for us to really come up with solid solutions for us to move forward. So thank you very much for that very enlightening talk. Our next speaker is Mrs. Rona Popal. She's the Executive Director of Afghan Coalition. No introduction needed. I believe you guys have all known her for many years in her advocacy throughout the community and her hard work and dedication in helping and supporting the voiceless. So thank you very much, Rona.
I think it's very important for all of us in order to save our children's future. بازم تشکری میکنم از آمدن هر یک شما که در این پروگرام تشریف آوردین و از آمدن شما بسیار زیاد تشکر. و امروز این پاورپوینت که ما تیار کردیم ما میخوایم به دو زبانم روش گپ بزنم. بعضی جایا اکسپلینیشن یعنی باید گپ بزنم در فارسی که بعضی دیتا و بعضی نمبرهایی که پیدا کردیم میخوایم راجع به او گپ بزنم و بعضی وقت راجع قسمتایش هم میخوایم به انگلیسی بگویم که امریکایی که اینجا آمدن اینا هم بفهمن. Child marriage around the world. و تمام دنیا child marriage به اینجا میگه چطور است. 1/3 دخترها در تمام ممالک developing ممالک یا ممالک کم پیشرفته 1/3 دخترها اینا before age of 18 before که اینا 18 ساله شوند اینا مجبور میشن عروسی کنن. از هر 9 دختر یکیشان بیفور از این که تا 15 ساله شوند اینا عروسی میکنند در ممالک زیادترش میتونم بگویم افریقاست، مدل ایست است و آسیاست. در 2012 70 میلیون زنا اینا عروسی کردن و تمامش از 70 میلیون تمامش بیش از 18 ساله بوده، در حالی که میفهمن قانون یونیورسال قانون یا قانون دنیا همیست که 18 ساله میشن در اون وقت اینا ادالت میشن یعنی جوان میشن و اون وقت میتونن که اینا عروسی کنن. اگر همه تو ادامه پیدا کنن و اینا دخترها به می نمبر همه قدر پیش برن یعنی به چند سال 150 میلیون دخترها اینا همه تو یعنی مجبور هستن که اینا عروسی کنن و اینا میگن child marriage یا عروسی های پیش از او که اینا یعنی جوان شون و اینا رو زیادتر در وسترن به افریقا دیده میشه و از خاطر که در افریقا زیادترین یعنی نفوسی که در اونجا وجود داره و این زیادتر در افریقاست. با افغانستان میبینیم که 50% افغان ها امی اطفال افغان که به سن 11 ساله و 12 ساله و یا هستن اینا مجبور میشن که عروسی کنن یا اینا نامزاد میشن تا وقتی که این سن 12 برسه. فکر کنید 50% اطفال در افغانستان پیش از 12 ساله شود اینا یا نامزاد میشن یا عروسی میکنن و 60% از اینا پیش از اینکه 16 ساله شود اینا عروسی میکنن. تقریبا 80% یعنی عروسی های پیش از چی در افغانستان در جاهای به حکومه که خارج از شهر است یعنی از شهرهای کلان زیادتر دورتر است و اینا تمام می عروسی ها را اگه ببینین تمامش میگه یا به زور است مجبور یا ارینج است یا مجبور میشن که اینا را با هم ارینج کنن که اینا اطفال با هم عروسی کنن و زیادترش امرای مردای کلانسن. یعنی ریزنش چیست؟ The reason for this, why is happening, in Afghanistan and around the world. First, we can say is the security because of 30 years of war. This is what war brought this misery to Afghanistan and any other country which is they are at war. The second is poverty. A lot of people, because of war, there's no job, no life even for those people. So they have to sell their daughters or they have to pre-arrange their marriage so they can go to their husband's house because maybe they cannot afford it, maybe they cannot even feed them. Tradition is also play a good part to this issue, which is we have one is tradition is before or after a childbirth, when a child which is born, after that they nominate that child and say, okay, you maybe gave your daughter to my son. That's it. From that time they engage that child. The second is the child marriage, which is they're very young and they are they have to marry because of maybe poverty, security, and tradition. And there's another issue that in our traditional issue, they call it bad. Bad means is when there is two groups in a fighting or they have a dispute themselves. What they do, they compromise their daughter to the next group in order to bring peace, and they call it bad. What are the effects? The effectش کل ما میفهمیم. این اطفال به سن بسیار کم اینا وقتی که عروسی میکنن یک طفل هستن. اینا نه تنها از اینکه ریپ میشن منتالی باز اینا بسیار زیاد اینا را آزار میتن. اینا نمیفهمن چی گپ شده. دفعتاً از خانه مادر به یک جای دیگه میره و دفعتاً به مثل یک مزدور or slave. They have to work on their in-laws' house. So it's like completely doesn't make sense. For example, if you see a child here and you know if you marry them with somebody else, it's going to really affect a lot, especially mentally, physically, going to ruin. And what's the urgency? An existing trend. اگر اما تو اجازه بتیم همینم برای که ما گفتیم اگر اما تو اجازه بتیم به صدها میلیون دخترها چی در افغانستان چی به تمام دنیا اینا امی تردشن امی کلچری که ما شما داریم این همه تو روان میشه و هیچ کسی نیست که ایره استاده کنه. از این خاطر بسیار مهم است که اشخاصی که بتانن در این قسمت کار کنن با هم یک جا شوند و اینا میره امی تردشن خرابی که با ما مونده ایره بشکنن. How you can help براتان already اینجا مسعود جانم بر شما گفت که ما ورقایی که مانده میتونین نامایتان نشته کنین امرای ایمیلتان که ما به شما اول بتید که پروگرام آینده ما چطور است و شما چیکاره میتونین که امرای ما کمک کنین امرای ما در قسمت فندریزینگ کمک بکنین یا پابلیسیتی بسیار مهم است. ما میخواهیم که به میدیا خصوصا از طریق تلویزیون‌های افغانستان بتانیم صدای خود بکشیم. شما میتونید در قسمت کمک کنین یا امرای دیگه ایجنسی‌های فرزن یونایتد نیشن امرای از اینا چطور بتانیم با هم یک جا کار کنیم که از اینا یاد بگیریم چی طور میتونیم ادوکسی یا کمپین در این قسمت شروع کنیم. Thank you very much. تشکر. Mary Stein have two things she wanna explain about.
The United Nations Association would be very happy to entertain any proposals from you for a possible project or partnership in this area. I just wanted to mention that we have some books here, booklets of the Declaration of Human Rights, and we'll be celebrating that in San Francisco at the University of San Francisco on or about December 10th. We'll be reviewing the outcome of the COP22 conference on climate change that's been taking place in Marrakesh. And we also have some pens. Please take those pens home with you because they have our address and we would welcome your membership if you'd like to join the UNA USA. And we also have some membership cards on the table over here. So we look forward to working with you in the future. And also want to recognize Nahid Adia, who is a board member of UNASF, as well as Janet Roberts. Yes.
Mrs. Gopal, thank you very much for sharing very important statistics with us. It may seem like a daunting task that 150 million girls out there that need our help, but just imagine the talent, the resources, the network, the people that we have here in this room. If we can just help one girl, for her, that's her whole life, and that's her whole, it changes everything for her. So don't be daunted by the statistics. I think if we can just help one child, it makes a huge difference. And with the distinguished speakers that we have, the talent that we have, the network that we have, the resources that we have available, I'm sure we can help many throughout the world. Our next speaker is the anchor and host of Ariana Television and the producer of Rawzana program, Mrs. Zakia Kozad.
حاضرین محترم، مهمانان عالی‌قدر، نخست بر همه صمیمانه ترین سلام ها و محبت خود را خدمت هر یک شما تقدیم می‌دارم. ثانیاً خوشوقت هستم که در این شام زیبا، در این شب مبارک که قدم برای بهبود زندگی اطفال ما برداشته شده اشتراک دارم. باز هم صمیمانه ترین تبریکات خود را با مناسبت این شب زیبا و این گام بزرگ برای جناب دکتر فرید یونس تقدیم میکنم و همچنان ناگفته نباید گذاشت و اگر نه این ناسپاسی خواهد بود که برای تمام کسانی که در این راه، در این پروگرام با جناب دکتر فرید یونس همراهی کردن و همراهی میکنند و پشتیبانی خود را اعلان کردن تبریک عرض بکنم. سلامت. ناگفته نباید گذاشت که تشریف آوری شما هم میهنان عزیز، شما دوستان گرامی باعث خوشنودی و همبستگی این پروگرام است. یعنی که شما با تشریف آوریتان در بزم امشب همبستگی خود را بر ضد این نکاح صغیر یا مبارزه علیه نکاح صغیر اعلام کردید و این جای بسا خوشنودی و تشکرات عمیق است که امشب شما با گام‌های مؤثر و مثمرتان نشان دادیم که آری حالا دیگر وقت است که ما به این همه ظلم و خشونت خاتمه دهیم. اطفال ما از سالیان بسیار دور قربانی اطار خشونت‌های شوم شده بودند، ولی جنگ آنچنان از زیر بنا اقتصاد و فرهنگ کشور ما را منقلب ساخت که امروز اطفال ما بیشتر از هر وقت دیگر مبتلا به این بدبختی هستند. اطفال ما مانند ساقه های نوشگفتی هستند، یا بهتر است بگویم غنچه های نوشگفتی هستند که هنوز از ساقه بلندتر نرفته بودند که پرپر شدند و شکسته می شوند. و این ناشی از چی هست؟ ناشی از فقر. امروز مردم ما، عده زیاد از مردم ما تحت صفر فقر زندگی می کنند در کشور. ناگزیر هستند که توته‌های جگر خود را در بدل پول ناچیز یک بزرگسال کهنسال دور کنند و دیده تنور را باز کنند و اونا را در بین تنور بندازند تا فرزندان دیگر خود را از گرسنگی و بدبختی نجات بدهند. و امروز از شما جناب دکتر فرید یونس سپاسگزار هستیم، از مفکوری عالیتان و از همچنان از تمام کسانی که در این راه شما را یاری و همکاری رساندن اظهار ممنونیت میکنیم که همان گونه که سالهای قبل شما برای حل منازعات فامیل قدم برداشتین و امروز نتیجه بسیار مفید به دست آوردین و شما یک قدم دیگر واقعا یک دانشمند فاضل هستین، یک انسان خوب هستین و یک مسلمان واقعی هستین. یک مسلمان بایست این چنین باشد، یک مسلمان نباید عقده داشته باشد. ما به تمام ادیان احترام داریم و تمام ادیان برای ما عزیز هستند. یک مسلمان واقعی زیبایی های تمام ادیان باید در خود بپذیرد تا یک انسان خوب و جامعه خود و دیگر جوامع باشد که شما هستید و شما خوشبختانه امروز یک قدم فوق‌العاده عالی و یک قدم فوق‌العاده حیاتی در این را گذاشتید که مبارزه علیه نکاح صغیر. آری اطفال ما که نیاز به زندگی مرفه دارند، اطفال ما که نیاز دارند به نوازش پدرانه، اطفال ما که نیاز دارند به یک لقمه نان که شکم سیر بخورند، اطفال ما به یک سرپناه نیاز دارند. ولی اما این گلهای ناشکفته پرپر میشن و از شما جهان سپاس و از تمام کسانی که در این محفل اشتراک کردن مرا معذور بداریم که با حرفای بی سر و ته خود شاید باعث ضیاع وقت شما شدم، برای این که ما همین لحظه که آمدم در این محفل ما آگاه شدم که باید چند کلام در امی زمینه ما خدمت شما دوستان عزیز تقدیم بکنم. امروز اگر ما کار میکنیم در راه خشونت علیه زن شاید یا علیه کودک ما شاید فردا حاصلش نگیریم، اما یک قدم مثبت است که ما گذاشتیم به خاطر آینده های زندگی ما میفهمیم که در کشورهای عقب مانده مخصوصا افغانستان دو طبقه وجود دارد، طبقه ذکور و طبقه اناث که همیشه ذکور صاحب صلاحیت بوده، اقتصاد خانواده به دست مرد خانواده بوده و همیشه زن به عنوان یک فرمان بردار در اون خانه زندگی کرده تا به خاطر به این مذکوری مردها و همسرها که فرزندان این زن برش به دنیا بیاره و بزرگ کنه تا در آینده در زمان کهولت آسای دستش باشه. به این منظور زن به حیث یک ماشین، زن به حیث یک کنیز، چنانه که دوستا گفتن، زن به حیث یک کسی که بجز فرمان برداری دیگه صلاحیت نداشت و بدبختانه امروز در کشور ما شرایط جنگ طور آورد که از بد بدتر شد. شاید در گذشته ها در دهات ما چنین بود که نبود. باور کنیم زندگی بسیار مسالمت آمیز بود. ما در دهات کشورم رفتیم، سفرها کردیم، در بین خانواده ها بودیم، ولی امروز در داخل خود مرکز افغانستان که کابل است یک دختر جوان، یک خانم با آرامی، با آسودگی و با خیال راحت از منزل خارج شدن نمیتواند. و باز هم از شما دوستان یک جهان اظهار سپاس و امتنان دارم که مرا تحمل کردین و شنیدین. تشکر.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Zakia Kozad. Mrs. Kozad spoke about one of the most important aspects, the root cause of what motivates and causes the child marriage to occur in societies like Afghanistan and other parts of the world. And this root cause has to be tackled in multiple ways, from economics to culture to religion. And she very beautifully outlined the cause, and I hope we can all benefit from that. Our next speaker is Dr. Veronica Ufibuni. I hope I pronounced it correctly. She's the Executive Director of the UC Berkeley Early Childhood Education. And as much, one of the worst things about being an MC of this type of program is having to hold up this sign. And as much as I enjoy all of the speakers and would like to have them continue talking, please, and respect for everybody's time, if you guys can keep your comments to 5 minutes, we'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me to this very special event close to my heart. I work with children, and I have 4 children myself. They used to be children 26, 25, 23, and 19 years ago. And now they're grown-up children, so it's really personal for me, the issue of child marriage. I am Nigerian. I was born and raised in Nigeria. I had my first degree in Nigeria. I did my master's and my PhD here in America. So the passion to work with children and support the cause for children to have a fruitful life is critical to me, and I bet for all of you that are here tonight it is. Nigeria suffered the Boko Haram disaster in April of 2014, and I start with that story because I connect with what we're all talking about tonight. 276 girls were abducted from their dormitory, and several of them escaped in the process, but 219 were kidnapped successfully. And out of the 219, a few of them have escaped periodically. You'll find them in the marketplace pregnant and abandoned, and some are found with children, a baby. And through the effort of the government and individuals like you and I, we've been able to set up some solace for the children, for the families. Some of the fathers, I don't want to repeat the cause because we already all know that. It's the same thing in Nigeria. It's about exchange for debt, it's poverty, it's tradition, and we refuse to accept that it's religion, because it's not. It's against Allah, and it's against God, and it's against the law of our country. It's illegal now in Nigeria to have child marriage. Marriage is still defined as legal when the child or the adult becomes 18. But consent is important. But really good that we have the bill passed that when you're not an adult, which is legally 18, you cannot be married. Unfortunately, it still happens. But we can't force it, but we must follow very intentional steps like you already, I hear, are doing. That's what Nigerians do. We're right where you are with child marriage. We have government officials who like to misread the law and try to interpret that it's okay. Recently, they tried it, the whole country screamed out. It's important to campaign. It's important to not be quiet. If you're quiet, you're supporting that illegal behavior. It's a crime. So even if you can't shout out, even if it's $1 that you put into the cause, education is critical. And education means that we need to understand our community and find ways to reach them. For example, in Nigeria, they go to the marketplace with a big loudspeaker, with a van, with what they understand. Educating people means that you need to understand the community that you're working with and reach them that way through the elders, through educating them about the health impact of a child getting pregnant. I need to find the word because it's a complicated health medical term, and I want to say what it is to you. When children are pregnant and they strain their very young pelvic, there's actually, if you don't know, I would share that with you, and if you already know, that's great. It's called vesical vaginal fistula, VVF. And what it means is that when you have a young girl get pregnant, due to their small pelvis, complications arise which results in vesical vaginal fistula, the leakage of urine and feces through the vagina. Therefore, and this happens to lots of our young children, at home for you and at home for me, and around the world, where young children with pelvis that's not mature to carry pregnancy, it does result in that. And the children have permanent smell around them. I heard somebody say that you teach them personal hygiene. It's way beyond that. It's medical. The permanent stench, and there's a lot of young girls around the world who suffer this. Not to talk about the trauma that this brings to the family and to the girl and to their future. They completely don't know what you and I know, which is the joy of going to school, the joy of just being 12 and 13 and 15 and 18 and going to college and becoming who you are supposed to be, not what your opportunities, the limited opportunities subject you to. So we owe it, each of us, to do something, call somebody. Every single step puts a stop to this crime to our young children. Every young girl deserves to grow to their utmost potential. And we cannot do it without everyone making an effort. You can't save the world, but everybody that you pick up the phone at home and call, even if when you go to the village, meeting or to the city meeting and say something. If it's $1 to the cause, put it in. We don't need $1 million, just $1, $10. And join United Nations. I'm very grateful. When Boko Haram happened in April of 2014, I was a member of United Nations. Mary helped me. We organized a rally. We went to the front of United Nations Plaza. We got the news people agitated. Everybody came to see it. We got our community members. We shared the news by word of mouth, by email, by every modem that we could. So it's really important that we all do something, but education is critical. Please look up VVF. Just even spread that. Nobody deserves to walk around smelling. Nobody deserves to be their future taken. What action do we need? Educate, educate, educate. What else? Rally, rally, rally. Campaign. What else? Find out how we, Nahid, I want to thank you for inviting me, and Mr. Yunus, thank you for organizing this. I'd be happy to work with Nahid and share a lot that we've done to help some of the girls that escaped have been brought to America and they're going to school. Even if it's not 219, but even if it's one child, but we have several and we're helping support them. We're really campaigning in our community. We're doing everything we can, but do something. Don't do nothing. I appreciate it. I would have liked to share my PowerPoint, but we have 5 minutes. I hope that you understand I'm extending my partnership. I'd love to work with you for campaigning, rallies, and fundraising, and education. All that, okay? So thank you.
Dr. Ufiboni, thank you very much for your very enlightening speech about the medical aspects as well that we don't always think about. Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. And as Mr. Ufiboni said, I think this just to address the flyer and the things that we can all do, beginning today, becoming a board member, helping with fundraising, publicizing, networking. These are all things that we can start today, right now, and begin working together to help make a difference in this issue. Our next speaker is an artist and also She works at the Alameda County District Attorney's Office, Mrs. Nahid Arya.
Good evening, everybody. I'm not a professional artist. You can see my art over here. It has come from my imagination, from my heart, to make a voice to our disadvantaged children of the world, not only in Afghanistan. When I draw this painting, I know a picture worth thousands words, but this imagination gave me an idea that is stop forced marriage. I don't know what you think about it. If you have any idea, let me know. But this image will be convey what is the words and what is we gonna read about it. So we make the art of the marriage as a comparison between the regular marriage. Marriage is very beautiful, institution, but between man and woman, especially now in the United States, as a make for the man with a man, women with a man, but not with the children. So that's why I make a comparison between art of marriage and stop forced marriage. So Mary is going to help me to read the art of marriage as a
Art. The art of marriage. Happiness in marriage is not something that just happens.
It is about the stop forced marriage. Women resort to suicide to escape forced marriage.
A good marriage must be created.
Afghan girls and women run away from forced marriage.
In the art of marriage, the little things are the big things.
Running away is a crime according to Afghan Supreme Court.
It is never being too old to hold hands.
Drawing blood from inside of a child bride, hurt in soul, this is not a marriage. It is a fraud in expression of force.
It is remembering to say, I love you, at least once a day.
It is expression of false love. That is rape. It is a child rape. It is not love.
It is never going to sleep angry.
Unable to sleep, having a lot of pain.
It is at no time taking the other for granted. The courtship should not end with the honeymoon. It should continue through all the years.
These children want normal lives. They want to play with their friends. They want to be educated, and they want to have a full childhood.
It is having a mutual sense of values and common objectives.
Early and forced marriage can contribute to girls being placed in a cycle of poverty and powerlessness.
It is standing together, facing the world. Yes.
Yes, it is standing together facing the world. They are victims of domestic violence, slavery, human trafficking, and sexual assault.
It is forming a circle of love that gathers in the whole family.
Dominated by their husbands and in-laws.
It is doing things for each other, not in the attitude of duty or sacrifice, but in the spirit of joy.
Most are likely to experience mistreatment such as violence, abuse, and forced sexual relations.
It is speaking words of appreciation and demonstrating gratitude in thoughtful ways.
Authorities turn a blind eye to the torture of young girls.
It is not looking for perfection in each other.
Child marriage is child abuse.
It is cultivating flexibility, patience, understanding, and a sense of humor.
Oh yes, honestly, the practice has led to many premature babies and death of young girls during childbirth due to excessive use of blood and labor complication.
It is having the capacity to forgive and forget.
That would be more welcome for me. I could not live in a place that has been compared to a fireplace.
It is giving each other an atmosphere in which each can grow.
Yes, sold for the price of my freedom.
It is finding room for the things of the Spirit.
To stand up for my right, to fight for my right.
It is a common search for the good and the beautiful.
Young married girls are more likely to contract it to disease and their health could be in jeopardy.
It is establishing a relationship in which the independence is equal, dependence is mutual, and the obligation is reciprocal.
Child marriage is crime. Child marriage is crime. It is silent death.
It is not only marrying the right partner, it is being the right partner. It is discovering what marriage can be at its best.
Child marriage isn't just harmful to the girls involved. It is the root of so many other social health, poverty, disease, maternal mortality, infant mortality, violence against women. All those are symptoms connected to the same problem. If the child marriage problem is solved, these other issues benefit as well.
We must stop the ominous tradition of forced marriages.
مسکنات شوم ازدواج‌های اجباری خاتمه دهیم. مسکنات شوم ازدواج اجباری خاتمه دهیم.
Sometimes we get caught up in the statistics and the organizations and the fundraising and things like that and lose sight of really what it would be like. And especially for men, I think it's much more difficult to relate, but poetry and art really does convey the suffering that one goes through. And thank you very much for that very touching poem and your beautiful artwork. Thank you very much. Our next speaker is a political activist, very involved here in the local community, has been working for many years on several issues. Mrs. Aisha.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to say thank you all for coming. It very much shows that this is an important issue to all of you. I want to thank Dr. Farid Yunus the most. He has been the champion of women's rights in the Afghan community for several decades now. And I think it's great to have a male champion for women's rights because it shows that it's not just for us, but it's for the entire community. I just want to kind of go over a couple of things. I know that we heard from different speakers regarding the statistics of 50 million young girls will be under the age of 15 married by 2020. This is a very large number, and I kind of want to just focus a little bit more on the Afghan side. As an Afghan American, I'm very proud to be an Afghan American. I think that Afghans, regardless of where they're born, whether it's in Europe, Canada, the United States, or in Afghanistan, we have a lot of pride for who we are and our cultures and our traditions and just our background. I think that slowly we constantly think that when we hear something in the news, I hope they're not Afghan, and I hope it's not somebody I know, and things like that, regardless of what happens in the news, right? We hear this constantly. We do not want to be vilified in the media, and that's very important to understand. With women being sold off into marriages and things like that in Afghanistan, it's not, we don't want to say it's a religious thing, but the problem is that a lot of people abuse the religion and manipulate it for their own advantage. And one of the biggest obstacles we have is to educate our religious force. So the individuals that call themselves mullahs, the individuals that go and say that they're holy men, well, what gives you the right to consider yourself a holy person? Are you educated? Majority of the time, no, they're not educated. Have you taken several psychology courses? Do you have a degree in human relations? Do you have an understanding of the life cycle of both men and women? Majority of time, it's a no. And that's one of our biggest obstacles within the Afghan community, is that we really need to organize and understand and set criteria for individuals that can claim that they're holy people without any real backing. That's number one. Number two is the mere fact that it's not just young girls that get abused into these child marriages. It's also young boys. And I believe that there are plenty of documentaries out there for something called bachabazi. And this is very similar to selling a young girl into a marriage, but this is more of a different sort of relationship between an older man and a young boy, usually of the ages 5 and 6. So when we talk about child marriages, we shouldn't just think about the girls that are affected, because it actually is a societal thing. It's both genders. It's really a problem. And one of the things is that when we talk about politics and social construct and things like that, one of the things that we don't realize is that, and we just had our elections in the United States, as people, we know what direction we're leading. Right now, we're taking a step backwards. That's the honest truth, worldwide in a sense. And no matter how educated, the world becomes and how modern and how technology helps us, there are still these little areas that we still haven't tackled. And one of the things is that, for example, the Afghan government has been completely useless in protecting women's rights. Completely useless, regardless if you're a fan of the Northern movement or the Southern movement or just a unity movement, regardless, they have been useless. And we had the issue of Farkhunda being stoned to death, and not one person has served a life sentence or been given a life sentence. So we have a couple of different issues. We also have the issue of, I'm sure you guys have heard, the temporary bride, Zanisira. And that has been almost overflowing in Afghan culture, but historically it's not been part of Afghan culture. And these are the issues that we need to tackle. It's not just one thing, it's multiple things, and it starts at the home. Now, I know, working with Ronajana Popal, is that when a man and woman come into the coalition, Rona has always told me, don't assume that the young woman is his daughter. Always potentially assume that it could be his wife, right? And several times, even sitting in with Dr. Yunus at some of his sessions, we meet young girls that are brought from Afghanistan, and me looking at them, I feel that they're about 14 years old, 15 years old, 16. And the thing is that if you have money there, you can manipulate and doctor paperwork to show that she's older, she's 20, she's 22. The reality is she's not. And the sad part is when a guy here in the United States, a place of rule of law, can manipulate the system and bring in a young woman, it's really everybody's fault. Because we, as the family member of that man, should be saying, this is sick. We know what you're doing is wrong. And we should constantly say that. So, as you stated, we should not only just use microphones and scream out that this is wrong, but also in our own families talk about how disgusting it is when a man, so it can be socially unacceptable for a man to marry a young woman. I think that there are several steps that we have to take. So not only the social area that we have to go and attack it on a family level, but then also a political level. And like you said, this isn't nothing new. Many, many different countries do this. In India, the number of child brides surpasses all other countries. And that's something that we actually have to take into consideration. This is an international movement. It's not just one country, but it's the world. And even in this country, when we have young people who are subjected to having to be leaving their homes because of the way they are, or anything like that, they have to turn to the streets. And this life, basically, the young women that have to face this, and the young men, are actually not living up to their full potential, their full life. We don't, in this country, allow a person who's under 16 to drive. Yet in other countries, we allow them to get married. But we know that they don't have the mental capacity to even understand their rights, that, hey, in Islam, you can get married. In Afghanistan, you are allowed to get a divorce. However, it's not seen upon, and half the people that are actually in these child marriages do not know their rights. So educating everyone of not only their rights, but making it politically known that this is unacceptable, that it's socially unacceptable, and overall that we are going to work together on an international front to keep pushing this agenda. The child marriages are wrong. So thank you.
Mrs. Aisha Wahab, thank you very much for that enlightening talk. I think Aisha Jan touched on a very important point, which is this problem exists in our community, and we know people, and we know families, and we know who, and we've seen it with our own eyes. So making it unacceptable really is something that all of us can internally do. We can take steps towards, and thank you very much for bringing up that very important point. Dr. Faizani, unfortunately, was not able to join us tonight. I know he's on the agenda, but we'll continue our program with a man that doesn't need any introduction, Mr. Khalil Raqib. He's composed a little melody, and we'll put it up on this projector here. The sound, unfortunately, isn't the best, so we'll do our best, but I'm going to go ahead and play the little melody that he's prepared for us tonight.
از در و دیوار از در و دیوار اچار رسد آینده است از در و دیوار از در و دیوار بر بام و در دوست بر بام و در دوست پریشان نظری امید ثمری است امید ثمری است تاریش در آب است تاریش در آب است امید ثمری